Good morning and welcome to the webinar this morning, Engaging with Your Students Using Brightspace. I appreciate you taking the time from your very busy day to join me for this. Um, my name is Heather Ryan and I will be your presenter today. I am a customer success specialist with D2L. I have worked with D2L for the past couple years, supporting the K-12 clients and their use of Brightspace. Prior to my time, I lived in the elementary panel, teaching for the last 6 years I was there. I taught grades 4 and 5 at an English immersion private school in Central Seoul. I've added my Twitter handle here on the screen that you can use as a reference for any future opportunities or updates or informational pieces that come from D2L. We often post our information directly onto Twitter so that educators are able to engage with us there. So if there is anything up and coming and exciting from D2L, I do post it there. In the event that you have any questions today, there is an email here at the bottom of the slide, K12 Ontario or ONT at d2l.com. And any questions that you have regarding today's presentation, you can go ahead and send directly there. What you will notice today is that we have actually disabled our Q&A and our chat pods, and I'll just address that here in the housekeeping items. Today, because we're going to be presenting across the entire kindergarten to grade 12 panel, I'm going to be using the term district to just is that in Ontario, for example, it may be referred to as a school board, or in Manitoba, a division, but just to keep everything streamlined, I'm going to be trying to reference the term district throughout the presentation. Secondly, like I mentioned, all of the question and answer and chat pods have been disabled this morning. The reason being is we only have a short time with each other today, and I want to make sure that we're highlighting the tools and their functionality for you. Unfortunately, due to the constriction of time, I don't have the capability to be able to answer specific questions about how specific districts have set up Brightspace. We would direct all of those either to your Brightspace administrator and any additional or terribly sorry about that. Had a little Wi-Fi hiccup there, so let me just bring up my screen again. And there we go. Sorry about that. I apologize. I had a brief internet lapse or Wi-Fi lapse. Hopefully I'm back up and everybody can hear me, no problem. So just to continue there. So if there were any questions that you have, we would direct them to your Brightspace administrator, or you can email us. And then I was just reiterating that all of our webinar recordings are available to you, as well as the slide decks that you'll see today. They will be posted on the education webinar site that you would have registered at to join me today, as well as any previous webinars and slide decks would be made available to you on that site as well. So if you do find that the tools that we're going through today are a little bit, maybe a step or two ahead of where you feel like you might be, it could be very beneficial to go back and revisit some of those previous webinars about getting started. The intention of today's Today's webinar is going to be to explore a couple new tools that we haven't introduced previously in this all new webinar series we're bringing to you today. And then if you're joining us today and your district doesn't actually have Brightspace currently set up and you'd like more information, you can email us again at k12@ond. or at d2l.com for further information about how to do that. And you're certainly more than welcome to join us and follow along. We'll be looking at how the tools are working, but we won't be discussing how you can actually acquire Brightspace for your district. So again, if you do have questions about that, you can go ahead and use the email address. And again, all of this information will be available to you. So any of the links or references and resources that you see here, quick links and whatnot, don't worry, you will have access to those later. So we're going to go ahead here and pop in and have a quick look at what the agenda is going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at today. So we're going to have just a quick overview of the current state and kind of where we're at as far as relating to COVID-19 and how everybody's adapting. We're going to have a quick look at what Brightspace is and just clarify some common questions that we receive. And then we're going to dive right into looking at how we can use both the awards tool as well as intelligence agents to help us to connect with our students in different and positive ways. So we'll be looking at using awards to recognize achievement as well as to reinforce positive actions. And then we'll be looking at intelligence agents as a way to connect automatically. And then at the end, we'll just kind of highlight through some of the resources that we've compiled, and we've got some new ones for you. If you've attended any of our previous webinar series, there's some updates here. So hopefully there'll be some new and exciting things for you to reference moving forward. So again, when we think about the continuing of learning in our current state, we realize that this is a big change and it's been a huge learning curve for everyone. We know that as educators, you're always focused about your students' well-being and how they're doing, but we want to remind you that you need to take care of yourself as well. Your mental health, your wellness is important, and if you're going to lead your students as educators, you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself as well. So be patient with yourself, give yourself some grace and understanding as you adapt to this new environment as well. That's just as important as ensuring that your students are successful as well. While we know that this is a global phenomenon, it's important for us to support each other and support our schools and work together as much as we can. D2L is doing everything we can to help enable educators and to share stories and use cases. And as we hear more, we're trying to share as many as possible. We encourage you to share with each other and work together and support each other as we move forward. Congratulations to all of you for having gone through the first 2 weeks or maybe perhaps more, depending on where you're located in this new world of remote learning. And I have a lot of respect for the fact that you're taking time out of your busy day to try and learn more as well. So I think that's a great thing that you can share with your students as well. You're also learning from home and putting the effort in to do better every day. So congratulations to you. D2L always expresses to our educators, we love the way you teach and we love the work you're doing. So congratulations and keep it up. When we start thinking about our online devices and our online platforms and opportunities, of course, there's so many things for us to take into consideration as educators. Everything from how we're going to pull our content and our resources into a safe and equitable environment to be able to share that with our students. Using a platform that lets you bring it all into one place certainly makes it much more convenient, and the navigation and that learning curve a little bit easier for everybody. Brightspace allows you to bring in that content and kind of surface it all in one place. So we hope that we can provide you with some tips and tricks to make it even more engaging today. Of course, we're always thinking about our students and their device and access to internet so that they're able to be successful in their online learning. And one of the most wonderful things that we've heard, and I'm sure all of you are experiencing it in your districts as well, is the community coming together to help provide devices and hotspots and even free or low-cost internet to our most vulnerable learners, which has been amazing. So that's a wonderful piece from the community. Using a tool like Brightspace offers you responsive design, which means that it looks great on a desktop, on a tablet, on a phone. and they're able, so that just prevents students from having to have the newest, latest and greatest technology to be able to access the content. And Brightspace does also offer offline content to ensure that we can reach even more learners from anywhere. As we move forward and we start thinking about our choice of platform, we have to consider things beyond just our own ease and access and our students' ease of access, but we have to consider those supports at home as well. So remembering that parents are also trying to balance their work environment, whether they're working at home or perhaps still going into their place of employment, as well as supporting their students as they maneuver this new world of remote learning. So making sure that we're considering how much support they have, as well as our ability to communicate and streamline things for them as much as possible is always something to take into consideration. Accessibility and equity are always important, and we're always thinking about how we can reach everybody. Tools like Brightspace are WCAG compliant, and that means that they are able to be used with a variety of accessibility tools, such as screen readers, for example. If you able to join us yesterday, the D2L accessibility team did an absolutely phenomenal webinar on Introduction to Brightspace with application to accessibility and accommodations. I've had experience with the accessibility team in the past, and I was still blown away by the content that they presented yesterday, and that is available in the educator webinar link as well if you want to check it out. Security, privacy, and personal information are always on the forefront for us, and you can be assured that if your district is using Brightspace, it has been vetted by the district, and they've purchased the license to be able to provide you with that assurance of that security and that protection as well. Additionally, D2L never owns student or teacher created content, so that's another little piece of security information there as well. And then finally, just being able to deliver synchronous versus asynchronous learning opportunities for our students is going to be really important. So being able to use conferences, for example, is a great tool to bring everybody together and create that online community, but it's important to keep in mind that some households perhaps don't have multiple devices, or they have multiple students that are using the devices that they do have. So scheduling in some breaks or some asynchronous learning activities or outdoor. I know you're all thinking about all these things all the time, so we'll just move forward here and look at some of our updated resources. So we've gone ahead this week and pulled in some new ones for you here. So some DSBN, so District School Board of Niagara, some other opportunities here from Code, as well as the University of Waterloo, and science education resources from the Government of Canada. So they're just some of our new ones that we're really excited about that we've seen this week that we'd like to share. It's certainly just a suggestion, not any limitations as to what we've seen, just some of our favorites from recent days. Moving forward, so that would check our current state box there on our agenda, and we'll hop into. So our first item today is to look at D2L. So D2L is the company, and Brightspace is the product. So if we were to liken this to a we'll use Apple as the example. Apple, it would be the company, obviously, and then they make the iPhone. That would be their product. So very similarly, that's an analogy we like to use with D2L just to kind of streamline that understanding there. There may also be times where you've heard of other terms like Ontario's VLE, which stands for Virtual Learning Environment, and that's made by Brightspace, but it's been rebranded, for example, by the Ministry of Ontario. So different districts may have customized or given it a different title. So I'm terribly sorry about this. My Wi-Fi seems to be going in and out on me here today. I guess those are the perks of working from home in this new environment, in this online world. So here we go. We'll try this again. So back to the online community. Online community is an area for us to come together as both clients as well as D2L experts, where we're able to talk through use cases and talk through any questions that we might have. It's also a space where D2L hosts all of its documentation, tutorial videos, and whatnot there. So it's a great space to go if you have any questions or you need any help from D2L. So that's the online community space. Again, I'm terribly sorry for this Wi-Fi cutting in and out. Hopefully that doesn't affect us moving forward. Now we've gone through the currency 8. We've hit on what is Brightspace. So now what we're going to do is actually hop right into our demonstration and look at how the awards tool and the intelligence agents can help you in your classroom. So just to go over a few of our learning objectives today. So today, using the awards tool, I'm going to show you how you can create a badge or a certificate. The workflows are the same. Availability, expired, how that can be used. We'll look at how we can release them to our students, both automatically as well as manually, and we can use something called release conditions to help with us. I'll show you how you can revoke or pull back an award. And then, of course, I'm going to give you hopefully a quick little peek into the student experience as well. With intelligence agents, we're going to look at how we can create and set criteria, schedule, and activate those intelligence agents, as well as customize the the return email preferences from them. So let's just dive right in here. So I'm just going to pull up my learning, my demo environment here. So let's see, it's coming over for us. Just gonna wait here for the internet to catch up with me a little bit. There we go. Okay, so what we see here is my landing page for my demo environment. And we see all the courses that I'm currently enrolled in, and we're gonna use my grade 2 course here today. So I'm gonna click into that and just have that pull up here for me into the course environment. Again, just waiting for the Wi-Fi to keep up with us. All right, so coming into my space here as it goes ahead and updates here for me. So today we're going to be starting with looking at our awards tool. So across in the nav bar, you may or may not see the awards tool showing in your nav bar space. In the event that the tool is not there, you can click into your course admin and look through the tools that show there. When we do intelligence agents, you'll see what that workflow looks like. So how to find a tool that's not showing on the nav bar. But for our purposes today, we do see awards sitting right here, nice in front for us. So we're going to click into the awards tool. That's going to take us into the tool main page here. So when we arrive on the tools front page here, we see the class list of awards. So I have quite a small class. You can see here, there's only 3 students in my class, Clara, Lily, and Sammy. And then I have a couple teachers that are down here. Tammy teacher and Gina Hernandez are a couple educators that are in my class as well. So it might be Tammy teacher is the homeroom teacher. Gina Hernandez might be an ECE or an EA that joins my classroom. That may be why there's multiple educators in there. So you may or may not have additional educators in your class list, but if you do, that could be some of the reasons why. So what we see here is that Claire, Lily, and Sammy have all received 2 awards in the class, which is exciting, and they have their badges showing right there. Gina has not got any, unfortunately. Poor Gina. If we click across here to the course awards, we can see some of the awards that are available to us that have been brought into the course. So we can look at some of these courses, and we can do some editing or changing of things, as well as the same thing with certificates. It gives us the options there. We can filter those if we wanted by using the all badges or certificates options over here. Any awards that I've received, I could have a look at here. View available awards. So these are awards that are inside the program that allow me to bring them in and I could earn. Here we have our icon library, which we'll explore a little bit later when we move through, and then of course some certificate templates as well that I've previously built. For our purposes today, though, we're going to just focus on actually creating an award, keeping it nice and simple. If you wanted to explore some further, dig a little deeper, there will be some resources that'll be available to you to do that at a later time. So for us, we're gonna start here with clicking into the course awards. So course awards are specific to our own course here, and we do have some that are already here that we can use, but we're gonna talk about adding an award to the course today. So we're gonna click into that. Now, what we have here are a couple options that we can do. So inside the awards program, any teacher who's created an award and that they choose to share it, that would be what we're seeing here. So these would be awards that another teacher has created and applied into the organization that we can share and that we can use. So if there was something there that worked for us or worked for our course, we could pull it in without having to go ahead and recreate something, for example. So that's exciting. That's a nice and easy thing there for you. But for us, we're going to go ahead here and we're going to choose the create option, and we're going to basically kind of start from scratch. So let's click in there. Now, when we come into our new award, we have quite a few things that we have to go through here, but it won't take us too long. I've actually taken some time here and gone ahead and pre-typed out some of my content, so you're not going to have to watch me do too much there. So first thing we're going to have is we're going to name our award. So for our purposes today, we're going to call it the Participation Award. So just a way to reinforce our students that maybe are coming into the course every day or actively participating in a discussion or just being really involved in what we're doing. So we want to congratulate them on their awesome participation this week and tell them how proud we are. Just reinforce those good behaviors and encourage more of it. This is a really exciting way for us to do that for our students, to just reinforce and bring that that positivity in. I kind of like to think of it as a way to give a star, for example, or a sticker and a sticker chart in some ways. Students can collect all the different ones. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to have this be a badge, but we can also choose to make it a certificate. And the certificate produces a PDF form for our students, and they can actually print that out as well. So kind of depending on what you're looking to or how you're looking to reinforce things for your students would be how you might want to do this here. But either one is super exciting for students of all ages. So we're going to go ahead and create a badge for this because I do want to have a look at some of those options there. So next we're going to go ahead and we're going to look here at the availability pieces. Now, what I would like to highlight here is that we have two options. So we have the option to make it available to all your courses. So any course that you're enrolled in would go across the board. So maybe you're if you're a secondary teacher and you teach multiple courses, you might want to have the participation award being available in all of them, for example. So you would have that ability to do that here. You would also have it to, this is where we can make this available to other course creators or other award creators in their courses. So where we had the ones that were shared earlier that I could pull in that were created by somebody else, this would be how I could do that here. So if I wanted to share it, I can do that. Or if I wanted to just make sure that it was only connected to my, my classes and the classes that came in under it, I could do that there as well. But for our purposes, I'm just gonna make it available in all my courses. Do I want it to expire? No. I'm going to keep mine as never, but you can set it to expire. So maybe you want to have a, for example, of March. That would be an example of why you might do that there. You could also do it. I have a time period for them to earn the award. So maybe they only have 4 weeks to submit an assignment to get the award. You might have that in there, or a relative month. Perhaps you're planning ahead. And then you can also ask that the students get notified if there is going to be an expiry date. But for us, I'm going to go ahead and keep it just as never so that that award is there for them. So here we have where we can choose the award image. So I'm just going to click into the existing library, and this will show us any of the awards images that we have that are there for us to access. So depending on what it is, so like you have a handshake here, maybe it's a cooperation award, or maybe it's a helping hand award or a great idea award. Really depends on what you're looking at and what you're doing with your students here, but there's tons of opportunities inside here for you to be able to just really build this out, and you could have as many different awards as you wanted to. So we'll use a trophy here because Participation is always a winning effort. And you can also upload your own icons. So a wonderful example that I could highlight would be a school that I worked with in the past that did they did leveling awards. So it was like reading hero level 1 because the student read 1 to 10 books and submitted a book reports on them, and then they achieved reading level status 2 because they did books 11 through 20, et cetera, et cetera. I've also seen teachers using superhero icons or dinosaur icons, things that are really relative to their class. So you have that opportunity to really customize this and make it really exciting for your students, and really personal if there's something that maybe you've been studying previously in your course and that you really want to drive home more, or you know that it'll help your students get nice and excited about. And then finally down here at the bottom, what we see is the opportunity to, again, personalize this. So we can go ahead and give it an issuer name here. So I'm just going to use Miss Teacher. Of course, you would use your own name or your ECE name or whomever might be issuing this to your students, and you wanted to say that when it does go to them, what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead here and I'm just going to press save and close because I'm happy with how my participation award is going to look. So I'm just going to click on that. Now I'm going to have my participation award right here showing directly inside my learning environment. So I'll be able to share that and provide that to my students. If I wanted to provide some release conditions for when and how my award was issued, I can go ahead here and click on the release conditions to create those and add them in here. So what release conditions do is they give us an opportunity to provide some context for when and how our awards might be released. So there's lots of opportunities that are here for that. It could be, and again, like we're looking at participation, maybe based on visited content or visited all content topics, for example. But we could also set this so that they get an award if they receive a certain grade on any item for that matter, or with a rubric, or a score on a quiz, for example. So there's plenty of opportunities here for us to be able to share that information with them. But for our purposes, we're looking at their org unit enrollment because we want to think about how often that they're coming into the organization and what they're doing here. So you would be looking at how you want this to be delivered to them and under what reasons. Now, if we come over here to our awards page, we can look at our different students here. So let's look at Lindsay. And we want to issue Lindsay an award. So we can come up here and we can click into issue here, and we can go ahead and select the award that we want to send to Lindsay. And here we can give any other additional award criteria that we want to have sent to her. So you did So maybe we're just highlighting to her how we really appreciate what she did in the discussion work this week. So we're going to have that issued directly to Lindsay. And now what we see here is that Lindsay has gone ahead and had this issued automatically for her, or sorry, not automatic, manually for her. If I had been using a release condition and she achieved the criteria to match the release condition, then the award would be issued automatically. So there are two ways for you to do that. One is to issue it manually, like I just walked through here with you, or the other one would be to go ahead and have the release conditions attached to it by editing those properties and applying those release conditions, which you can see here. Some of them show conditions being applied, and then some of them show that there are no conditions there for you. So again, we've just issued Lily here a brand new award. So just to show you what that looks like for Lily, I'm just going to hop into my class list here. I'm going to flip over and I'm going to just bring up Lily here to have a look at her experience. When I log in as Lily, the very first thing I see here is my congratulations from my teacher and the date. So now Lily can get that reassurance and that reinforcement that she's done a great job, and she can also, we've done a good job, and that's just a nice way to do it. Oh, another issue with the Wi-Fi. So I've gone and switched over. Hopefully moving to a hotspot will help me here. Now, let's see. Just hoping that everything comes back up here quickly for us. I do apologize. This is quite a challenge this morning with the Wi-Fi. Hopefully this will help now that I've switched over to a hotspot instead of trying to stay on the same Wi-Fi network. So what we're going to do now is going to move directly into the intelligent agent piece of the presentation. Now you'll notice that on my navigation bar here, there is no intelligence agent showing there. It would be the same if you were looking for the awards tool or any tool for that matter in, on the nav bar. If you weren't able to find it, what you can do is click directly here into the course admin. And what course admin will do will bring you to a page that shows you all the tools that are available in your environment. So what we see here is under communication, we see the intelligent agent option, and we're going to go ahead and pull that up. So currently in my course, I have no intelligence agents currently showing here, but we're going to go through the process of adding some today. Now you may be asking yourself, what is an intelligence agent? And when I first heard the title too, I wondered the same thing. The intelligent agent is a way for you to automate emails to the users in your course, in your environment. So it would be a way for you to automate an email to be generated and sent directly to your students to be able to communicate with them about things that they're working on or things that they perhaps missed, and giving them that gentle nudge to keep working or to come back to the course and whatnot. But it allows you to set these communication strategies in advance so that if certain criteria is met, the emails will automatically go out to our students. So it's a time saver for you, but it also keeps that engagement and that communication piece happening with our students. And there's a few ways to personalize it. We're going to be looking at those today. So when we come in here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose new because obviously we have no intelligence agents there. So we want to start from scratch. When we come into our intelligence agents, we have quite a few things here, 3 steps really, with some sub-steps in them to make sure that are taken care of to get us started. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and label our intelligence agents. So we might be wanting to remind our students that they haven't logged in for a week. So we just want to put that, we're going to give it a title here so we know what this email is the context of it's going to be, but you know, so that's what we're going to create today. So, and maybe we have multiple emails that we're issuing for something similar. So we can add in a description if we want to, just so that we can remind ourselves about what that context is if we need to. So we'll just put that we're reminding our students who haven't logged into the course for a week here. It's really important to just double check here that the agent is enabled so that you know that it's turned on. If it's not something, if you're planning ahead and it's not something you're planning to enable right away, you can certainly toggle that on and off. But if you want to have access to it immediately, make sure that it is clicked on. As we go down here, we're able to go ahead and plug in some criteria here for how we want our intelligent agent to work. So first thing we want to look at is how might we want it? Do we want it visible to all people in our class list, or do we want to look at specific roles? Now you may have additional teachers or educators inside your learning environment, or a course developer who helps you, or just your students. So this would be an ability for you to really streamline and direct where those emails are going. So just for us, we're going to be sending just to our students. We don't need to be reminding our ECEs or maybe our school librarian who might be in our course that they haven't logged in, because maybe they don't need to at this point. But our students, this is directed at them. So we're going to click on that just to make sure it goes to them. When we're thinking about our login activity, we can think about how we want our students to be working inside our program. So the login activity actually is logging in directly into Brightspace on the whole. So especially when we're thinking about secondary teachers who have multiple courses, or sorry, secondary students who have multiple courses, they could be logging into Brightspace, but only working inside their math course. And maybe you teach chemistry. So this would account for logging into all of Brightspace versus into your specific course itself. If you wanted this only to come for your specific course itself, that you would choose the action down here for this criteria. So that would be logging in and going into the chemistry course that this would count for. So because we want them checking for our courses, we're going to go ahead and do that. And you actually have two options here. So you can look at they have not accessed the course in, and we're going to go 7 days, or if they have accessed the course in the past 7 days. So this could be an example of maybe like if it was a holiday or something for that example, or March break, spring break, and you wanted to congratulate a student who was obviously doing some work outside of regular school hours. You could use that there as well, or you could also use it as positive reinforcement to say, you know, hey student A, I just wanted to congratulate you on participating in the course for 5 days in a row this week. That could be something that you do there as well. So, but for us, we're looking at students who haven't logged in the last week, so we're going to plug that in there. Now we can also go ahead and attach some release conditions here as well. So if we wanted to build in some content here for things that they had to do in order to get this email, that could also be something that is issued here as well. And we can pull that information in from any of our tools that we're using here and help to build out those release conditions and attach it there. So that's optional for you. You do not have to include that if you want, or if you don't want to. So once we've set the criterion, so the criteria here, we move on to the actions. So now we want to set how we want the intelligent agent to work for us, and how often and things like that. So first we have the repetition here. So do we want this to just happen only once when they've reached this criteria, or do we want to have it happen every time they've reached this criteria? So that could be if you would attach like a condition to apply to a course, for example, or sorry, content, for example. If they've visited the content and worked through it once and they get the email to congratulate them, that's wonderful. But you know, maybe they're studying for an exam and they're going back again. They don't need, maybe you don't want to have to send them that, you don't want that email being sent to them every time. But for our purposes here, we want this action to take place every single time a student has missed 7 days in a row. We want it to email them to remind them to gently come back into the course. Here, the change user enrollments. This is a in a K-12 environment is probably not going to be as applicable as maybe in a higher ed environment. But what this would be to change the status of the enrollment of our students. So one of the examples and applications, that use cases that could be used for a K-12 is maybe you have a second course that is like a study hall, virtual study hall, or special help area, or maybe a gifted student. So perhaps if a student in this case had reached a certain goal, a certain score on a quiz or on some content, and you wanted to either encourage them to be enrolled in extra help or enrolled in a gifted program, you could use that here to change those enrollments and have them put into other courses if necessary. But for our purposes, and I think the most common commonly applicable for K-12 would be to send that reminder email. So we're going to go ahead and choose that here, and then have a quick look at some of the features that you can use inside this email feature here. So what we're going to do is have a look here. So When we're thinking about our emails to our students, we do want them to be a little bit personal. So we can use this special email addresses to use. And we're going to use initiating user. These are called replace strings. And what they do is they allow us to bring in that little bit more personal kind of field here. So the initiating user is going to bring in the names and the email addresses of the students that the intelligent agent identifies as needing or needing the email to be sent to them. So that brings that in there from your class list and that information. If you wanted to CC a principal or administrator or guidance counselor, you could put that information in for the CC or the BCC options here as well, and that will be saved with the intelligence agent. Now, when we come to the subject line here, we can go ahead and also, again, use the replacement strings to help us here. So let's have a quick look here. So here we can pull up we have a variety of different options here for that. We can see there's the organization name, the name of our unit. We could use the students' names. So that just gives us a few options for us to be able to do that. But we're going to use our course name. So I'm going to choose the org unit name here, and I'm just going to bring that in here. So what this will come through and say is the title of our course. So if my course was labeled English 101, it would say you haven't logged into English 101. If my course was called grade 2, which it is, it's going to come through as grade 2 in that email. And then when I'm going to want to choose the content that goes into my messaging here as well. So I've gone ahead and pre-typed out some of my messaging here that I'd want to put in here. But you know, I've noticed you haven't logged into the course lately. How could I help? And you might want to consider providing things like suggesting that they reach out to you or seek extra help. You can use the quick links option here to bring in content opportunities. So maybe it's a reminder that they need to go into the content and complete some coursework for that week, or you want them to jump into discussions because they've missed participation in something. You can quick link that directly in here. You might also want to include schedule reminders or expectations, or if you're keeping office hours, that's a wonderful piece to put in there as well. So it's really up to you to be able to personalize it as needed and to provide the information and the context there that you want to. You can also use the replacement strings inside the body of your message to be able to make that more personal as well. So you could use how could I help, and then add in the initiating user piece here that would bring in the student's name, for example, and just make it that much more personal for you. So then once we've done that, and of course you can add in any kind of pieces as far as like attachments there as well. Now when we go down to our third and final piece here, so we have our scheduling piece that we can do. So this is the ability for you to either do it automatically or for you to be able to manually set this yourself. So if there was something with regards to a schedule, you can click onto that and we can update the schedule here for it. So we're going to want to add some scheduling to our how often our intelligent agent is going to run. So I want mine to run weekly, repeating every week. And I would like it to run every Friday so that's when my email will go out to my students. I can set if I want to have a start date and an end date. So a start date, for example, maybe it's winter holidays, you're getting a head start on things, but you know that you want this email to be going out starting once you've returned from that break. So you might put in January 6th, for example, to have it launch then. But this is not something you have to include. You can choose to add something in or choose not to if you want as far as that goes. And we're gonna, sorry, repeats every week for, I'll just put 52 weeks. There we go. So I've got everything scheduled here. It's confirming for me how often it's going to be evaluated and then when my next run date will be. So that confirms for me that it has been set, it has been updated, and then it'll let me adjust or edit the schedule there as well. And we're going to go ahead and save and close that. So it's been created successfully, and now I can see that my intelligent agent is here. Now we do see that it has been set to be scheduled to run on April 21st or 24th rather, which is great. That confirms it for me there. However, if I'm really anxious or I want to get an idea earlier, or I would like to run it today, I can also manually execute it and run that report now to see how my students have been doing, and to run that intelligent agent, not report, run that intelligent agent now to have that sent out to them. So I would just have to click it, go ahead and run now, and I can have that sent out. I can also look at and view any of my history that I have here for any of the times that I have run it and how that report looks. So if I did want to look into that, I can do that as well. There won't be any history showing in mine since I just created it today, but it is there as an option for you if you want to look back on it. You also have the ability here to enable or disable an intelligent agent by clicking on the box. So an example for when you might want to be using this is maybe it is that break, March or spring break, and you don't want it to run that week. You can just go ahead and click it there, and you can disable it for the week. And then when you come back at the end of the week, you can click it again and re-enable it. So that just prevents you from having to go into multiple intelligence agents to have them any changes made. And you can also delete it here as well. Now, one final little piece here for intelligence agents is under the settings that I just want to highlight here. One of the things that you can do is you can customize and change the email settings that are showing here for you. So if you wanted to set the values for the course, you might want to come in here and do that. So if you're, for example, if you wanted your students to be able to send back to you and give you some responses or let you know what they need from you, you're gonna want to come in here and update that. So you can change that to whatever information, email responses that you want. So this would be your reply to address for responses and the name that it comes from. If you don't change that, then it will just come through as the support information that you see here at the top using the default settings. So you can update that and customize that to reflect whatever contact information that you want to have showing for your intelligence agent. And then that would run automatically against the course data and would issue out to the students in the course to remind them to come back into the course. Now we did it for no logins for the week, but like I said, you can set it with release conditions. So it could be a really positive reinforcement, congratulating them on a job well done or achieving certain things. You can also tie in the use of release conditions to be able to apply your intelligence agents to your content as well. So it's a nice way to automatically reinforce behaviors from your students through contact via email. And then again, the awards is a great positive reinforcement that provides us with that way to engage with our students in an exciting reward type based environment. So what I'm going to do here is just pull back up my PowerPoint information and we'll have a look at those learning objectives. So today in the awards section, we learned how to create a badge or a certificate if that was what you wanted to do. Certificates are the exact same workflow as the awards. You just have to choose that you're creating a certificate versus a badge at the very beginning. We learned how to name it and put a description in, create its availability and expiry date, an award image or issuer information. And then of course, how to issue it and use release conditions. And then the revoking an award is to pull it back from a student. And a question we often get there is the student notified if I revoke an award? And they do not receive a notification for that because we know that sometimes we all make mistakes, right? So we don't need our students to know if perhaps we issued an award by accident and then pulled it back. So they do not receive a notification of that. And then we did see the student experience. And then related to intelligence agents, we learned how to create and set the criteria, schedule it, and activate the agent, as well as to customize those email preferences for any responses that are there. I would encourage you to in your work environment, give it a try. See if you can use these tools to really enable you to connect with your students and reinforce some of their behaviors so that you can get, proactively get those behaviors and kind of attitudes toward your learning environment in a positive sense and moving the way you want them to. So that we've gone ahead and achieved everything outside of our agenda with the exception of the resource piece here. So I'm just going to highlight those really quickly. So what we've done here on this slide is we've brought in a variety of resources, including some new ones that have been created by D2L to help support you at home, or to support with regards to the COVID situation and remote learning. And again, these are all going to be shared with you and you'll be able to access them as necessary moving forward. So that those details are there for you. Again, there's some tips and tricks here for creating online communities and being able to trigger those conversations with your students and engage with them in a variety of different ways. And then just some small tips for success. So remembering that, every little step that you take, even if you think it's small, it's bigger than you think it is, and it's more impactful than you think it is. Less is more, simple is best. Keep it nice and easy for you. Keep it nice and easy for your students. Work smarter, not harder is a wonderful kind of attitude towards your new working environment and navigating it, and depending on each other and using the ability to automate things is a great way to help you do that. So there's just quite a few different things here that are always really important to keep in mind, and I'm sure that you're all thinking about on a regular basis. But most importantly, don't be afraid to try something new. We're all navigating this together, and there's lots of opportunity for you to learn and for you to move forward. And you never know what's really going to work for you until you try it. So just a couple points or a couple things here. Upcoming webinars, we've engaged here with the first two, the accessibility in Brightspace, as well as engaging with students this morning. Later this afternoon, my colleague Val will be delivering a webinar on using the discussions tool and how we can engage with our students to kind of get them talking with each other. And then on Friday, Val is also going to be delivering a webinar on some of the video options that are inside Brightspace. So how we can utilize those and move forward. We also previously have offered a variety of different webinars and a webinar series that are available to you as well, and you can access those on the registration page that you used to join me today. So they do kind of start from an introduction piece, and we're moving into a little bit more advanced features as we're kind of expanding the webinar series. But if you find that there's some things that you want to revisit, that would be a great place for you to start. And then if you're hungry for more, we are certainly happy to provide you with lots and lots of resources to be able to dig into. So what we've done here on this chart is really bring in as many different resources and contexts that we can share with you. So we've added some new ones this week, including discussions, awards, intelligence agents, groups, and some information about portfolio. So there's lots for you to dig into. And again, this will be available to you. So don't worry about the hot links and everything that are there. We can share, they will be shared with you for you to see them later. And then that brings us to the end. So finally, I just want to thank you very much for taking the time to join me today. I certainly appreciate your patience with regards to the Wi-Fi issues. If there are any pieces of the demonstration that are missing from the recording, please use the email address, the k12ont@d2l.com email address to express any questions that you might have. If there is anything that's missing there, we will do our best to help address those for you. Or you can use, you can probably, if you're on Twitter, you can go ahead and DM me there as well, or you can probably find the answers somewhere in the list of resources that we provided to you today in that resource slide too. So lots of opportunities for any of those. If there is any missing pieces due to the tech issues, I really hope that that we don't have anything with regards to that, but it's always hard to know until we actually see the recording. Anyway, thank you again for taking the time to join me today and for being patient with those technology issues. I hope that you enjoy your afternoon and have a wonderful day. Stay healthy, stay safe, and be well.